Hey Codesies, welcome back. Today, we're kicking off your first big project, the Prompt Optimizer. This is a hands-on tool we'll build and improve throughout the course. It will help you test and refine your prompts in the future. First, grab the starter code from GitHub. Find the link in the description down below, and then go to the link, click on code, and if you're familiar with GitHub, feel free to clone it, but if you're not, just feel free to download the zip file, put it somewhere safe, and then unextract it. So one more thing that we need is code editor. If you don't have anyone, I'm going to suggest you download VS Code. If you're on Windows and the normal installer doesn't work for you, feel free to also try out the system installer. And then something optional but very helpful is Git. If you don't already have it, you don't need it for this course, but I'd highly recommend you follow the steps I'm going to tell you in a second in order to download and set up Git on your machine once and for all. One more thing we're going to need is Python. Luckily for us in Windows 11, it's actually very easy to just download it from the Microsoft Store. Just go to your own Microsoft Store and then type in Python and then just download the latest version. In my case, it's 3.13. So I would just click on that Get button and that would be it. Now let me go back to Git installation. So first select your operating system and then click on this link to download it. And then I'm going to click on here to show you the steps. It asked me, do you want to allow this device to make changes? I should say yes. And then let me actually show you the setup window. There you have it. I already have it set up, so I'm going to just show you what to do. Just click on next, and by default, it selects Vim by default though. But you can just choose Nano or VS Code if you want. Just click on next, override the branch to main. It used to be called master, but then the new one is main. So let's just keep it as this. Let's keep it as is. Let's keep it as is, and I would keep the Git credential manager, and yeah, that's it. And once I finish the installation, it will show you this window where you can just not bother with the view releases and just finish. Now that we've installed everything, we're going to open VS Code, and then you're going to click on File, Open Folder, and then select where you've downloaded and unzipped the project files. I already have it here, so I'm going to click it, and then once it opens, this is going to look something like this, probably without all those files already open. So on the left-hand side, this is your Explorer view, or Control-Shift-E, and on the right side, or Control-Alt-B, is where you can chat with a language model to help you code a little bit. This is what we call vibe coding. Now let me close this for a while, and let's just go here. There's going to be a front end and a back end, right? The back end is in Python, that's why we've installed Python. I would also install another extension. This is the extension view, or Control-Shift-X. I'm going to click here, and I want you to install the live server. It is this one by Ritwik. And once you've installed it, then you're going to go back and we're going to start the initial setup. Now let me zoom in a little bit for you. Over here, you're going to find this README file. This is basically the file that has all the information I wrote for you as a guide. You're going to do Control-Shift-V to just get the preview of it. That's how it looks like. And over here, it tells you how to actually set it up. So first you need to get what we call an API key, and this helps your code communicate with the language model. Let's just say, for example, Gemini. The good thing about Gemini is, compared to other things, it has a free quota. So you can actually use the free tier and then do some requests. But of course it has limits, but at least it's free for now. So just go there and follow the steps to get the API key, and then let's actually start the setup. First, you're going to need to go to the backend. So you're going to cd backend. And now that you're in the backend, you're going to create what we call a virtual environment. And this is where you're going to install all your Python packages. So you're going to do this command to create this venv folder. And then this on Windows, I'm going to just do that in order to activate this virtual environment. You're going to see this venv between brackets at the very beginning of the line where you type your commands. But in new versions, you don't even have to see it in order to know that it's working. Now, once you're inside, you're going to pip install -r the requirements.txt, which is a file I have for you that has all the required packages that you need for our case. And then you're going to copy this example .env example, which also has like just the Gemini API key and where you're going to paste yours that you got from the Google AI Studio. And this copies it in a .env in here. And that .env, as you see, it's like light gray, not white, like the main.py, for example. Its color looks a little bit flushed out, and this is because it's not going to be pushed if you want to push your code somewhere, because this has your secret now, which is the API key, which you, without me saying, you just should not share with others, by the way. Now that you have that, you're going to open your .env. I'm not going to open mine for sure, and then paste in your API key. And now that we've done that, we're going to start a backend by running python main.py. So I'm just going to copy that. You can copy that. And then after I pasted it, pressed enter, it should say that it's available on HTTP 0000 and 8000. If I just control and click, it says here it cannot be reached, but I'm going to replace this 0.0.0.0 with localhost. And then it says prompt helper chat API version 2.0. So what is the reason of the 40 and dots? It's just because you can access it as well from your phone if your phone is connected on the same network, but with few extra steps. For now, let's just leave it as is. We're also going to run the front end. You can use this command, or since you have already installed the live server, I'm going to right click this index.html and then open with live server. And there you have it. If you just type in hi and your backend is set up perfectly, as we mentioned, it's going to kind of load and then reply back to you. Now, it is very generic. It does not know that it's the prompt critic yet. If you just click here on the about, you can see the system prompt is completely empty, which is our job now is to add the system prompt right now and then keep refining it as we go throughout this course. So let's go back to VS Code, and over here at the very bottom is where we have the next steps, which is a checklist of the things that we need to do throughout this course. And once we've done something, we're going to mark it as complete. Now let's start with the first one. Create a comprehensive prompt critic system prompt of 500 plus tokens with character identity and course expertise. Of course, we don't know like much about this course yet, but the more we learn things, the more we're going to add to the prompt critic so it has a little bit of background knowledge. Now it says update the prompt critic system prompt in the backend/main.py with a detailed system prompt. It doesn't have to be 500 plus tokens, just put any prompt that's going to give it a little bit of background information. I'm heading to the backend folder, inside of it main.py, and at the very top is actually, let me go to the very top. The to-do is associated with the things that you need to edit. So if you actually search for the word to do, you're going to see where you need to edit. Right here it says create the system prompt, for example. I'm going to edit this, replace this system prompt with a pre-made one. This prompt is very simple. It says you are a prompt critic, so it gives it an identity so that when it replies, it knows what it has to do and what its job is, right? And then it tells it a little bit about its identity, about its expertise, and about some core concepts, which is the things that we learned so far, at least in Module 1. The more we learn things, the more we can add core concepts as well. And then it adds a little bit of the style of communication. How would we like it to reply to us, in what manner? And then it gives it some ideas of how it can help the user and a response format so that it actually replies with the way that we want it to reply with. You can have more to your prompt or less. It's going to be a very beginning prompt. You don't have to have all of this. You can just have the very first line of what it is. And throughout the course, we're going to actually clarify more each one of those key areas of a prompt, and we're going to add it to the system prompt. For now, let me just test it. I'm going to go to the bottom, and in the terminal here, I'm going to Control C to end or shut down the server, up arrow to get the last command, and then enter to rerun the server again. Now, once it runs again, let me go to the prompt critic again, and you don't even have to refresh. I'm just going to say hi again, and let's see how it does this time. All right, so at least it knows what it is. It knows that it's the prompt critic, and it actually is trying to help. Let me actually give it something. Let me give it a prompt. For example, write an article about self-attention. Let's just say this is our initial prompt and we want to make it better. So it's going to actually ask us some questions. Who is the audience of this article? What is the tone that you want the article to have? What specific aspects of self-attention you want to emphasize? Do you want a preferred length or structure? These are all valid things that we kind of have to have in our very simple prompt, right? At least it's working. It knows its job and it actually does its job. All right, so let's head back to our VS Code. Also, to show these checkboxes like that, I also use this extension called Markdown All-in-One. And let's actually mark this as complete. I'm going to do Alt-C, or you can just put an X inside. And now it looks like it's marked as complete. Now the second one is enhance the conversation history to maintain context across messages, change the enable conversation history from false to true in the backend /main.py. Now, every time you send a request to the language model, in our case, Gemini, it actually sends a new prompt. And every single new message you send, we send a new prompt or a new request to Gemini, and this new prompt is treated separately from the previous one. This is how it works. And if you want to maintain history, we're going to use what we call context, which is all the necessary information, not just the last message that the user sent. So we append the history to the context and send it to the LLM alongside the new message from the user, and then the new reply from the language model like Gemini will have access to all the prior knowledge from the conversation history. Now let's actually test it before we enable. I'm going to leave these running, and let's actually head to our prompt optimizer. I'm going to tell it, my name is Ishraq, and then let's wait. Okay, so at least it recognized I'm Ishraq. Now let's ask it, what's my name? All right, so actually it says my name is Prompt Critic, calling itself Prompt Critic, but it doesn't really know my name, right? Now how to fix this? We're going to go back here and we're going to enable or set it to true the conversation history in the backend, and that way let's actually rerun the backend. Now let's go back to the front end, and here I'm going to say I'm Ishraq. I misspelled it out of laziness. And then I'm going to ask it, do you know my name? And yes, it does. So now I'm going to head back to here, the README, and I'm going to mark this as complete as well. Alt-C. Now here it says, add a token counting to track usage and prevent context window overflow. We're not really going to deal with the context window that much, but we're just going to go to the backend and I'm going to search for the token counting. Going to enable it. Now if you can just remove these brackets and new lines. And I'm going to also go to the front end app.js and searching for that. I'm just going to change this to true. And notice that in JavaScript, the true is lowercase, but in Python, the first letter is uppercase. Now, we don't have to refresh the front end. I'm just going to refresh the back end. And what this does, it actually shows us how many tokens we've used. Let's go to the front end. And now, let me try to say hi. Awesome. Now it tells you how much token it used. So now we can actually go back and go here, mark this one as complete as well. Now we've completed all module 1 things. We need to do what we call committing our code. We need to save our code and tell the computer that, hey, we're done with the code. All this looks so good. These are all the edits we have. I just clicked on source control or Control-Shift-G, and then you can actually take a look at all the edits you've made. And I'm going to just stage all those edits and I'm going to generate a commit message. A commit is just a way to know what changes we've done in the past, and then we can actually navigate between the past changes. Awesome. Now you can just commit, and now you know that your changes have been saved successfully. This is the step that actually requires Git. If you haven't installed Git, then no problem whatsoever. If you have installed Git, then just get used to it a little bit. I might release a crash course about Git, so just mention in the comments down below if you're interested in that. But for now, that's it for today. Now, one more thing you can do, especially if you don't have this much coding background, is to do vibe coding as well. You can click on here to toggle the secondary sidebar or Control Alt B, and this will open this agent chat. You can just attach any files you want as context and just type in something that you want it to do, or if you want it to help you debug something, you got some error in the terminal or some error in any of those files, you can just put their message here and it will actually take a look at that for you. Now, one more thing you can do is to actually pick up the right model you want. You're going to click on Manage Models, and then you can click on Add Models, and then choose Google. If you haven't already done this before, it's going to ask you for the Gemini API key, which is the same one we have in our .env, but since I already have them already, then they just show up right over there. And then you can just select the Gemini model you want to use and just type in whatever you want in here. Be careful because the Pro one is a little bit slower, but the Flash one is just way faster. Awesome! You've set up your prompt optimizer project. You've given the prompt critic its identity, enabled conversation history, and added token tracking. This tool is ready for us to build on in future lessons.